Hello, listeners. This is your host, Amanda Stevens, stopping in to warn you that while I was recording the episode you're about to hear with the amazing Hayley, our signal dropped out near the beginning, so you will hear a small transition point right before the summary. Lucky for me and you, Hayley's an amazing guest and not only stuck it out through all the tech issues, but also delivered a great episode to kick off our Pride Month theme. So please enjoy this first episode about the classic Rubyfruit Jungle. So if you could change one thing about LGBTQ plus representation in mainstream media today, what would it be?
It would be for mainstream media to stop treating queer romance as an obstacle or like a shocking plot twist. I think it's better for queer society if the romance or just in general being queer is a natural part of the world and identity, instead of being some shocking obstacle to get over.
Yes, I have goosebumps.
We can see it more with gay men, like it's becoming better, but it still has a long way to go to be considered like a natural part of identity in media. And we need characters who are just allowed to be in love with whoever they want without the narrative punishing them or making it like a key plot point.
Everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Times. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others could or should find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue to listen. We tackle movies, books, comics, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read. I'm your host, Amanda Stevens, and you're joining us during the first episode of our June Pride Month special, where I'm inviting members of our colorful LGBTQ plus community from all over the world to share stories which made them feel seen and what that means to each guest. So joining me today is our returning guest from right here in Taiwan, Hayley. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yeah, I am so excited to get into what you have to say today because even just discussing it in the background, like through chat, I already had questions that I wanted to ask you.
Good. I'm excited about it.
So before that, you have done one show with us before, but can you introduce yourself again?
Sure. My name is Hayley. I'm 37, an immigrant from North Carolina to Taiwan. I've been here for 11 years, and I read a lot in my free time. So this is right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. And so on that note, what book did you bring for us to discuss today?
I brought a book that is near and dear to me. It is called Rubyfruit Jungle by Rita Brown. It is a classic in queer literature. It came out in 1973, and it's a coming-of-age lesbian fiction. It's a pioneer for its time, portraying a lesbian character in a positive manner.
Wow! Oh my God! Yes, these are my favorite kind of stories. So before we talk about the summary or anything like that, I wanted to say that I was really excited when you mentioned this because I have seen this pop up, I think in the last 2 years on a lot of to read lists, kind of in gender studies, suggestions. And also I think maybe because of this. So what are your thoughts on that angle to this book?
Okay. Because I was really, when you had mentioned that you had heard it, I was very confused because this is not a book that a lot of people talk about. I first heard this book in a women's studies class, so now it makes sense how you've heard about it. And that is how I had read this book. There's also another book that I was choosing from for today. It's called Orange is Not the Only Fruit.
Ooh,
it's also a great one. Fruit and lesbianism kind of go hand in hand for some reason. But I was shocked that you had mentioned it or said that you had heard of it because I feel like, at least in my world, people don't talk about this book. People don't know about this book, or they've heard about it, but it's long forgotten.
Yeah, it's not given the spotlight that you feel like it deserves, perhaps.
Not at all. And I don't think it ever got the spotlight I feel like it deserves,
Oh,
to be honest.
no. Yeah, that's my bad, but it's okay. I was just saying, I remember I thought the title for this one was really evocative. So it really stuck in my mind as like a book that I would remember.
The title is really rememberable. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
hear a title like this very often.
I don't think so. It's just like it paints a very like it's a picture that makes me like really curious. Like I really want to like see this in a painting.
That's interesting. Do you mind sharing what that picture is?
Honestly, it's really like fruit. Like the
Okay.
most luscious, like desirable still life that you could imagine is sort of like what I
Oh,
see with like really bright colors.
I love that. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Maybe it'll come to light whenever we talk about the story.
Okay, well, then let's get to that. So, before we do the summary, I already did one question, like one little
Hmm.
freebie, but do you think that there's anything else that we should know? We mentioned that it comes up a lot in women's studies, but maybe isn't given the proper spotlight. Is there anything else?
Um, there is some stuff about growing up poor. Other than that, I think there's no major trigger warnings or anything that
Hmm.
people should be aware of. The language is very of the 1970s. So if you do give it a read, bear in mind that that is what dates it.
That's the time period. Yeah.
It is very much of its time, but I think the premise and the takeaways are more than what it is for its language. Like it's a much
Yeah.
better story.
Hmm. Okay. Perfect. So then let's stop joshing around. I don't know. Can
Okay.
you please give us a summary of
Okay.
Rubyfruit Jungle?
All right, I had to go back into the archives for this one because it
Oh,
has been a
yes.
while since I have read it. So I have quite the summary.
Oh, boy.
Ruby
Okay.
Fruit Jungle is a coming of age story about Molly. She is a bold and independent young woman who embraces her lesbian identity and she overcomes poverty, family rejection, social prejudice, and her dream is to become a filmmaker in New York. So it's kind of her life growing up poor in Pennsylvania, which is a state in America. And when she's 7, she finds out she's adopted. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of family trauma and history that comes out of that.
Yeah.
It talks about her first crush in elementary school and goes through her growing up as a teenager and moving around as she goes into college and loses everything and then ends up in
Oh,
New
no.
York.
Wow. Is it
Yes.
like, does the book finish in New York or?
The book does finish in New York,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. It ends with her finding her way, attending a film school, dating different women, and she doesn't hide who she is.
Hmm.
So she's very determined in the end to make her own movies and succeed on her own terms without adapting to society.
Yeah. Wow. You go. Yes. We love to hear
Yeah.
that. Oh, my
Molly
God.
Molly does a lot.
It sounds like she goes through a lot. Do you mind? Can I
Mhm.
maybe you're going to speak to this later, but can I ask you the sentence she goes to college and loses everything? Like what's that all about?
Um She goes to college on a scholarship and loses it because
Oh,
she's in a secret romance with her roommate.
oh,
Again, she is I think the book is set in the I forgot in the
yeah.
I
I
think
can say
so because
yeah. Well, I know that that thing definitely
oh,
happened because it's not the exact same, but like there's a story passed down through my family about how my grandmother was kicked out of college for driving in a convertible.
yeah, no, that
So,
makes sense.
like they would drop people like a hot potato over literally nothing. Like,
So the book, like I said, came out in 73 and it's set in the 50s and 60s. So it's
mm,
even farther back in time where
yeah.
being out and being gay and having those relationships is highly frowned upon,
Hmm.
especially in institutions.
Yeah.
So when she loses everything, she loses everything.
Molly, no.
Yeah, but then it's kind of like a nice little ending. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a okay. Yeah. I can because I already heard the ending before this, like or at least
okay.
I mean, like you mentioned that like she's going to end up in New York and not having to
Mm,
hide who she is in like the
exactly.
film industry. I can accept this. But this wow. Okay, so you really kind of
Yeah.
follow her from like her childhood up into sort of becoming herself.
You follow her from childhood to becoming a young adult. A lot of her problems and situations come through different parts of her life, finding out that she was adopted and then moving to Florida as a teenager and then getting her scholarship and losing everything because of her secret romance with her college roommate.
Yeah. Well, her romance, that has to be a secret even.
Exactly.
So let's get on from here then into our first question. Well, our first question post summary, I guess. What made this, or I have to do this the other way around. I'm so used to my regular questions. What about Rubyfruit Jungle made you feel especially seen, and especially in like a way that differs from other media?
Exactly. So as I mentioned, I had heard about this book in university in a women's studies class. So I read this book when I was about 23. Yeah. I was also in college and struggling with my sexual identity. Mm-hmm. It was the first time I had ever encountered a story where a lesbian is a main character.
The main character.
The main character.
Yeah, not even like one of many.
Exactly. I was also sitting at a terrifying crossroads of my own. I didn't know how to fit into any of the molds that were in my hometown. I knew that I wasn't a part of certain groups of people because of how I identified. I wanted to escape. I looked at the queer community, but I realized I didn't fit into those molds, and I still don't. And then Molly came.
Yeah. And then did you really kind of see yourself in the character of Molly?
I did. She was this like misfit that I could connect to because she escaped her small town. She was drawn to the creative energy of New York, and I was also drawn to New York. I kind of wanted to go to New York and be this like idolized starving artist.
Oh, yeah, right? Of course.
I wanted that whole lifestyle as a teenager. I didn't want to compromise. Molly was rejecting society left and right, which is how I felt. She was unapologetic. Watching her navigate that without any kind of like blueprint or rules gave me permission to stop forcing myself into boxes, which was really nice. There's a quote from the book. It's, "Why does everyone have to put you in a box and nail the lid on it? I'm me. That's all I am, and that's all I want to be." And I think that is what pushes this book forward. It's a pioneer of its time. You don't really see any writing from the 70s say something like that with a queer main character.
Yeah. My God, that got me like choked up. I'm not even exaggerating. Like,
so I really see myself
so
in Molly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, and the thing is too, like I love books like this in terms of you see a character kind of like struggling with it. And most of them, it's like the characters don't have it figured out, but where you really see like the character does not know their next move. They don't like have like a plan, or their plans keep getting kind of like blown up because, like you said, it really does sort of paint a picture in my mind that kind of counters a lot of what we see in TV or movies often, which sort of makes it feel like they might say like, I don't have a plan, but everything just works out, you know?
Exactly.
And it kind of feels counter to what it actually feels like to go through when you don't know what you're doing and every move feels like a really big one.
I think that with other types of media, a character like this would be downplayed in TV or in movies. In a book, she can be the main character. She can be her person without having to rely on those other relationships to outshine her.
Or like play off of anybody else. Like she doesn't have to be a foil to anyone. So, God, that's really lovely.
Also loved that like I read this when I was 23 and in college, and she's kind of that same age. If I had read it as an older adult, maybe I wouldn't have resonated with it as well. But because I was going through the same things that she was going through at that time, it just really connected and resonated.
Yeah, it really sounds like, I'll move on after this, but it really sounds like to me how I hear a lot of people describe the book, To Kill a Mockingbird, which I didn't read when I was in high school. But like I hear that same experience of like coming of age stories can be so powerful when you find them like at the right moment. But it also matters like who is coming of age, you know, into like through what.
I can see that.
And it's like that's another dimension that I think doesn't get as much attention when we talk about just sort of that genre, is that it does still matter who the protagonist is and like what the exact level of their struggles are.
Exactly.
So then why do you think that others should care about Rubyfruit Jungle? Or we said this before, but why do you think that Rubyfruit Jungle perhaps deserves more recognition as a tale of our time? If that's not it, like if we didn't already just say it right now.
I think I'm just going to kind of nail, what did she say earlier? Nail the lid on it?
Molly, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a book that I care deeply about, and taking my personal preferences away from it, it's an endangered piece of lesbian history, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Lesbians are really glossed over when you look at the Alphabet Mafia group. And in a media landscape, any media, books, movies, TV shows, it becomes obsessed with new people, and people forget kind of that lesbians exist, I think. And the rights that we have today were built on these stories. And this is not the only book, but this book treats queer joy as a form of resistance. And there's a scene in the book where the dean tells Molly that her life is not normal. And she snaps back and says, I know it's not normal for people in this world to be happy, but I'm happy. And
Molly.
Mainstream media, well, they drown out happiness in these tragic queer stories. Yeah. And this book proves that queer happiness is just as important, if not more important.
Yeah. Well, and like the importance of highlighting that, right? That like, even though as we discussed in more detail, like Molly loses everything, like that's not where the story stops. That's not really like maybe even the focal point of her story. I guess it depends on how you feel about it because it's her coming of age, right? But she moves on and like maybe even does better than she hadn't been kicked out of college because she's like living in that joy, and that experience that caused her to be kicked out isn't anything regrettable.
Not at all. And I think what I really like about this book is that it doesn't focus on the identity and her identity as being tragic or bad or negative. It's just her existence and her walk throughout her life and what has happened to her, granted of the time period, but it's not focused on a tragic situation.
Yeah. It's not something that she's trying to overcome. And I think that that's like a really important framing for any of these stories.
I do think this book is a vital part of literary history, and I really think that a lot more people should read it.
I love that. I want to keep asking questions, but unfortunately we're out of time. So if you could give Rubyfruit Jungle a one-phrase subtitle of your very own, what would it be?
A manifesto for everyone who does not fit the mold. It's always the hardest part. It always takes me forever to come up with that.
That one, it's always a question that trips up the most people. So like you are in a large group of company, including myself, every time I do these.
It's a great one though.
But that's amazing. Wow. Manifesto is such a powerful word too.
It really is.
A coming of age story. We need to bring that one back more.
It's a great word in general.
Well, let me say, actually, we need to bring it back more for like good things.
That's true. I
want good manifestos, more good manifestos. So, Hayley, thank you so much for coming on this show. I really appreciate it.
It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it.
This was such a banger of a way to start things off. I'm so excited that I finally know about this book and that like I get to publish this. So Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you out there for joining us. This has been Tales of Our Time on Radio Taiwan International. I was your host, Amanda Stevens. Today's guest, Hayley. And I hope that you enjoyed learning about Rubyfruit Jungle, a manifesto for everyone who does not fit the mold. A tale of our time. We'll see you next time.
Do you like movies? Do you like old movies? Boy, have I got a show for you. My show, Retro Reels, hosted by me, Hannah Belinsky, airs just after the news block every Wednesday. It's my opportunity to flex my film buff muscles and offers a mix of historical and cultural information, objective analysis, subjective criticism, and sarcasm. Tune in and get wise to some great movies you might have missed. Movies made before you were even born. Every Wednesday, right after the news on Radio Taiwan International.